Concrete5 was designed to be a flexible development toolset to power almost any type of website. In fact, in Concrete CMS's early commercial days, most of the sites that we built ourselves were online communities with a fair amount of functionality in them. The goal of Concrete5 is to get out of your way and let creative drive the process. You can see at a glance, these screenshots of Concrete5 sites don't share any kind of visual footprint as they might if they had been built with a blog or a portal CMS powering them. As a designer or an information architect, you should use your existing creative process and then think of Concrete5 as a building material to suit your needs. This screencast is part of an ongoing series that we're doing to explain some of the different options and decisions you'll face when it comes time to chop those comps into a Concrete5 site that'll stand the test of time. Today we're going to look at a more application-ish website, addictinggames.com. So, addictinggames.com is filled with fun little flash games that have their own detail page. If I click through here, you'll see there is a big flash space and a bunch of recommended stuff on the bottom. So we know right off the bat we're going to have a game page type, and it's going to have a wide block area here to hold a featured piece of flash, and it's going to have a lot of standard data that has to show up. So pretty much everything in this game information box would be data that is on every one of these game page types, and we would probably think about storing that in custom attributes. You should really learn more about custom attributes. They let you define metadata that you can use against pages, people, products if you're using the e-commerce add-on. They're a really powerful tool, and they let you standardize data and share it in cool ways. So we would, right off the bat, make sure that the description, the current rating after this rating interface happened, and in fact the thumbnail that all these guys use are tracked as custom attributes on this page type. And what that would let us do is any time that we're building one of these recommended games, side navs, or like this popular and shooting section, we'd be able to pull that data back without having to load the object for the page itself. It's just a lot faster to deal with that way. We probably keep track of the play count there as well. On a portal site like this, you've got to be concerned about performance with everything. So storing as much data as you can in custom attributes is a smart idea. Let's go back up to the top. This home page would be its own page type as well. It's obviously got a lot of custom stuff going on. We would certainly split in the page type, make a block area on the side here, and we would use our advertising block to manage the ads in there. And this template's pretty simple actually. This column stays the same all the way down, and we would build different types of blocks that you could put in these block areas, and probably change some options on to choose where the games were coming from and how many games to feature. So all of those game page types would probably sit inside of a category structure. All these games sit in one category, as an action game or a sports game. So we would make our site tree match those categories. You would have home underneath that, you'd have action, sports, and inside of each one of those you'd have a game. Each one of these featured area blocks could probably be managed by one block type, where you would pick a category level in the tree, tell it how many games you wanted to feature, maybe choose some options on whether you wanted to feature them by most viewed or most played or highest rating, or however they're pulling this stuff back. And that block could also just throw up the more games link that would point to the category as well. In our template, we would very likely think of just treating this as one wide block area, and then using layouts to chop it up into 2 columns or 3 columns within edit mode. And that way, as the marketing folk want to try different stuff out, maybe they want to sell a wide ad here, or they want to keep this 2 ads, or move these 3 boxes up, they get a lot of flexibility because you can just kind of re-chop it with layouts in the page type. We would also probably set the background of this page as a custom attribute for the page type. You can see there's this blue fade here, but if I navigate around to some of these other landing pages, here we go, sometimes they sell ad space there. So this could just be one big image, and we could set the thing to tile automatically, and if it was huge, that would work out just fine. This featured all games block shows up a number of different places. It's got some tabs, lets you choose different ways that you can look at the games, most favorited, most reviewed. If it were only to show up in one place, we would think about building it as a single page. It shows up in a bunch of different places, so we would probably build it as a block. Play with friends. This page looks like it's probably not going to change too much. It's just bringing back top player scores. Probably the biggest concern here is keeping queries fast. We'd probably treat this as a single page with a block area on the side so you could change out ads or put different content in here. But this looks like custom functionality that's only going to show up on this one page. And that's really the best way to make the decision about whether to build something as a block or as a single page. If you're only ever going to see it in one place on the site, you're not going to be repurposing it and trying to use it within content in different ways, then it probably deserves to be a single page. Whereas something like this all games box, while you could treat this whole page as a single page, you would end up rebuilding it a fair amount, because I believe if you go into any of these categories, you'll see a very similar interface. There we go. Very similar interface. So I'd probably look at figuring out a standardized way to build this thing as a block with a bunch of settings on it, and then it could render all this stuff for you. So at a high level, those are some of the decisions we would look at and choices we would make as we looked at chopping and building the technical architecture out for a site like addictinggames.com.